Hello there, everyone, and
Woo!
welcome to the
Woo!
EDH Jank Center podcast. This is a cheeky little show where we break down 5 janky, budget, or underutilized cards every other week. These cards may not be the best, most efficient, or even good, but here at the Jank Center, we believe every single card deserves a chance to shine. As always, I'm your host, Jordan. Hell yeah. And today I am joined by my co-host, the lovely Crest Lightning, everyone.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I went simple, straight to the point, the lovely Crest Lightning. I thought it flowed together really well.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we're going to encounter, throughout the course of this podcast, we're going to encounter some adjectives that hit better than others. This one really felt right, you know?
Okay. I'll take it.
Yeah. Good. Good. How you doing, baby? How you been feeling this past week? We just recorded last Sunday.
Feeling pretty, what's the word? Manic.
Ooh, baby.
Last couple of days.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Oh, no.
I'm just hoping that it just mellows out.
Yep.
And there's the opposite doesn't happen.
No crashing going on.
There's no crash.
Yeah.
There's no...
You mellow out into a plateau.
Darkness.
Yeah. We're not going to manifest that for you. Not at all.
And nothingness for days to come. I hope that the manicness just slows down. And then I'm like,
yeah,
chilling.
Well, maybe talking about some awesome magic cards will help you get out of that, or help keep you above that line, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I have to bring up my current hyperfixation.
Yes. Please tell me about it.
On the channel.
Yeah.
And if anybody else is out there, hell yeah. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Ooh, 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 ooh.
And that is the newest Final Fantasy VII, the sequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is a remake of Disc 2 of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
And it is a fever dream of a game.
Oh. Tell me about it. Why is it a fever dream of a game?
In the same breath where you could watch a character's best friend dying, that's as vague as I'm going to be able to give it.
Sure.
But it's a game from the 90s, so I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
In the same breath, not like 20 minutes later, you're like hanging out at the beach and like running around. You're either doing errands for people or playing mini games, and there's like 40 mini games, probably more. I'm about halfway through the game. I think I've just finished the third like region, like content, like country basically.
Sure.
And it goes from having the coolest combat system ever. Final Fantasy Remake was my favorite video game of all time, and I think I like Rebirth more.
Oh.
But I think there's like 2 avenues that you could go. Remake is tonally consistent the entire time. There's a lot of tonal whiplash in Rebirth, but I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of what I like about Final Fantasy is we're having this like deep, emotional, character-driven moments where people are getting closer, but also we get to like hang out and ride chocobos together and just like... You know, there's a place called the Gold Saucer in Final Fantasy VII. It's basically like Final Fantasy Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
And this is the remade version of that.
Yes.
So you've got like 2 parks like at Disneyland. And like, it's so like, it feels like you're at Disneyland. And it's just like there's a bunch of mini games. And it like I went up to like the space place and I played like a shooter game. It was just shooter game, like you're in like a spaceship. Look, if I went into every mini game,
yeah, we'd be. That's a different podcast.
This would be like a 3-hour podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
But I do have to mention one mini game in Rebirth in particular is my favorite thing ever, and it's called Queen's Blood.
Yes, we were chatting a little bit about this before the show. Tell me about Queen's Blood.
I'm not gonna explain how the game works because it's complicated. If you're not playing it, it's not very complicated to play. It's pretty easy to pick up and play. But in the video game, I am canonically playing a card game and like running around to different shops buying card packs in order to play this deck building card game.
Oh, I love it.
And it is so fun. It is so fun. It is one of my favorite things. It's one of my favorite games. The mini game in this video game, not the video game itself. The mini game, Queen's Blood, is one of my favorite games I have ever played.
Wow. That's high praise.
It is so fun, and I want to make physical versions of it so bad. I want to just print off a bunch of cards. I want to build a little
board, like a little
board that fit the cards. It's so good. I just can't explain to you, and I can't explain to you how it fits in the video game.
Right, without spoilers, yeah.
Because there's like a weird plot line.
Yeah.
That you can just not play this card game if you don't like mini games. But if you don't like mini games, I don't know why you're playing this game with 1,000 fucking mini games. But you can just not play them. And you can just not play.
Yeah, you can just go through the story just like as is.
Yeah, good luck. Because if you don't do like everything in that game, progression is very difficult unless you're really, really good at combat. Or just grinding. I guess you could grind too, but I'd much rather play a bunch of stupid games.
Hey, you and me both. That's really fun and cute. And if I were a gamer, I'd be jumping on that immediately.
Yeah, I think I put in like close to like 12 or to 14 hours of the game yesterday.
Wow.
I like remember just like starting in the morning or like afternoon.
But you enjoyed that,
or
though.
Not afternoon, before like around noon, and just like I played it all night.
But you enjoyed that, and it was fun, relaxing
Always.
time.
I love video games.
That's true. That's a true fact
and I
about
love
you.
Playing video games, clocking a lot of hours in on my own time.
Yeah,
I did finally finish Persona 3 Reload as well.
Nice.
And that took about 120 hours.
You did this. You finished it this week too?
Yeah, like last weekend.
I was gonna say that's quite an eventful week in video games for you.
I mean, yeah. I did like clock 160 hours into Tears of the Kingdom in a single week. So
oh my god.
Yeah, I when it came out. So I've been wanting to play this Final Fantasy game for the entire time I was playing Persona.
I remember you talking about it.
They both released at the same time.
I remember you talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Thanks for sharing your video game escapades with me.
Go play Queen's Blood. And if you don't play Final Fantasy, just ask Square to license it through somebody.
Yeah.
Make it real.
Make it real.
Queen's Blood real.
Make it real. We can create a channel in the Discord if it gets popular enough.
Yeah, you teased when we were chatting about it that if I make a physical version, we bring it to cons.
Yeah, we'll bring it to cons, play it in between like games if we get killed.
Games of Magic.
Yeah, if we get killed, But yeah, as for me, I think the only real thing that I really want to talk about, and again, unfortunately, I can't spoil it because it's season 6 of My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah.
I finally got to the place where lots of crazy things happen.
Yeah.
Every single episode, my jaw is on the floor.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to say something. You can cover your ears, listener or watcher, if you're watching My Hero and you don't want a spoiler. Ready?
I'm ready.
Cover your ears. Okay. Hopefully they're gone. When Bakugo does that very selfless act, the voice actor is acting in that moment when he's talking about my body just moved. I didn't really think about what was happening. I just did it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm getting shivers just thinking about it. Tears.
A callback to season 1, right?
Yes. Tears just streaming down my face. It was just such beautiful storytelling. And yeah, I so excited for this.
Hey, guess
season
what?
7.
It just keeps going.
I cannot wait.
It doesn't stop.
I've had like my partner's parents in town for the past week or so.
So you had to put it on hold.
Yeah, I haven't been able to. I've been itching to watch it. They just left, so I'm gonna be catching up on it for sure. But yeah, so that's been kind of my week. But I'm ready to dive into these cards, these tasty selections. We got some great ones for our listeners today.
And we're talking about Magic the Gathering now.
No Queen's Blood.
Not Queen's Blood. This is a Magic the Gathering podcast, no matter how much I wish it was the other.
When we get popular enough, maybe we can, we'll branch out. You can have your Final Fantasy
launch
podcast.
My spin-off Queen's Blood podcast.
We'll do a Kickstarter, like game nights, and do a Queen's Blood Kickstarter.
Hell yeah.
So let's just dive in, shall we?
Let's go.
All right. First card today is going to be Permeating Mass.
Permeating Mass.
And this is sort of like an inside joke, I'd say. This was a card that was memed to all hell in my Discord before your time even, Crest. Like, this was like it's okay. But Permeating Mass was like this big deal because it's just such a janky little creature. I'm going to read it. It's 1 green creature spirit. It's from Eldritch Moon, and it says, Whenever Permeating Mass deals combat damage to a creature, that creature becomes a copy of Permeating Mass. And it's a 1/3 that just has this ability. So
I'm making a face.
Yeah. This is a little janky one drop, clearly, because it's the definition of the channel's vibe, I feel like.
100%.
Like, this is one of those cards that when you read, you go, how the hell can I break this or do some weird stuff with it? Because this feels weird. I mean, I don't even know. I think I bought like a collection of someone's bulk or something.
For sure.
And I was sifting through the cards and this came up and I was like, huh? I was like, wait. So it just turns it into, it's a Permeating Mass. It's so flavorfully done. It's like, it'll just turn the board into armies of itself. Just little 1/3s with that same ability. And there's some ways we're gonna talk about it, but
yeah, can you force fight your own creatures?
So the thing that makes this even jankier is it has to be combat damage.
Right.
It can't do it through fighting. You can't give it an ability where it's like, tap, this deals 1 damage, and that won't apply. It has to be through combat,
right?
Which I think makes
through the combat phase.
Yeah, I think it makes it a pretty decent blocker. It's like having Death Touch, or it's like having Frogify. It's like a repeatable Frogify.
But it's Frogify Death Touch.
Essentially, well, no, because the creature doesn't die, but
right, it becomes Permeating Mass.
Yeah, it becomes just a vanilla 1/3 with the same ability, which I think is a pretty cool defensive tool, especially if you plop it down in the early game and people don't want to be swinging at you. It gives you a nice little buffer.
If you're like us and you're just like, okay, I guess we're just playing Permeating Mass for the rest of the game, and we're all just swinging in.
And then you run some some buff spells like Overrun or Overwhelming Stampede, and you just make your Permeating Masses bigger than theirs, and that's how you win the game. Anyways, I would love if this was one of those cards that was like, you can have a deck can have any number of cards named Permeating Mass. Like, I feel like that would be so funny just to have like 60 copies of Permeating Mass in the deck.
Wizards, if you're listening, it can be 2. It doesn't have to be a 1-drop, but just give it that extra push.
Exactly. Reprint this same vibe just in a different name or something in a later set. Or just, if Wizards is listening at all, that's amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. How did you find this? That's crazy.
You had to fucking be searching through YouTube. Like digging.
They were just looking, they wanted to know about Permeating Mass, and they looked up this episode, and that's how they found it. Anyways.
In the tags.
I mean, yeah, there's not much else to say about this. I want to talk about the commander I picked for this. That's going to be like where we really have a chat about it. And the way that I think you could use this in a really fun and cool way to devastate someone's board state. So a couple episodes ago, I talked about the card Vicious Battle Rager and its synergy with Lure.
Yeah.
Vicious Battle Rager is just, whenever it becomes blocked, I think it's either each opponent loses 5 life or blocking opponent loses 5 life.
Right.
And I talked about its combination with Lure, where Lure makes all creatures that are able to block the creature enchanted with Lure do so. Hello there, everyone. Jordan chiming in from the editing booth here to give you some very bad news. Permeating Mass does not work like I thought it did. Or rather, its synergy with Lure does not exist. See, I thought that a 1/3 like Permeating Mass, if it was blocked by 7 creatures, it would deal its 1 damage to each of those creatures. But that is not how it works. I was being a silly little Billy. And it's crazy because I know this. I literally know this, but a man dreams sometimes. And because of this error in my ways, I must now repent and choose a different commander than I originally did. So, while Permeating Mass does not synergize with Lure, it does do still very well as a very cool and unique defender. And I kind of want to emphasize that a little bit. So I'm thinking a Yeva Nature's Herald build, which essentially is a commander that lets us cast green creature spells as though they had flash. I built this deck in paper for a while. I just could never figure out like the proper way I really wanted it to go. And so I ended up taking it apart, but I really thought the concept was very cool. It was a mono green, mono blue deck, essentially playing things on other people's turns and being very reactive in our playstyle. If someone sends a gigantic attacker at us or a very threatening creature, something with a scary ability or something like that, we can just hold up 1 green mana, flash Permeating Mass in, and pow, now their creature is a permeating mass, and it basically just got frogified. And as a little bonus, I also have included this in my Radagast the Brown deck, which I own in paper. It's a green weenies deck, built around playing and gaining value off of playing a ton of little green creatures. And you can go check out that deck tech on the channel. I did a whole video on it a while back. All right, that should be enough to suffice. Unfortunately, you will not get to hear Cress's beautiful feedback on this card because I had to cut that whole segment, but we are going to now move on to their commander selection for Permeating Mass. Anyways, enough about me. What did you pick for this selection here, Chris?
Okay, so if you look at the artwork of Permeating Mass, you go, that's a permeating mass.
Yeah, 100%. The artist nailed this.
It's really freaky looking.
There's really
hands,
is.
There's sides. It's like a necromorph from Dead Space. Anyway, this is from Eldritch Moon, which is on Innistrad.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's a couple ways you could go. You could either go Green Spirits, which I think is chaotic, but I think that would take me to like Kamigawa, and like more spirit synergy would take me away from like the vibe of what I'm looking for here for this artwork.
Yeah.
And so instead I started searching Innistrad for legendary creatures that are green, and I was like, that's weird. And so my commander pick, and I think it works out fine, is Slogurk the Overslime.
Yes. Yes.
It's a 3/3 legendary creature ooze for 1 green and a blue. It's got trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk the Overslime. Remove 3 +1/+1 counters from Slogurt, return it to its owner's hand. When Slogurt leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand.
It's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool card. That's a pretty weird commander.
And if you're playing with your lands, a 1-drop like Permeating Mass isn't necessarily a costly card.
Sure.
So I think it slots into this deck just fine. I think it's a vibe. Whatever this vibe is, I want it.
Just sort of like globular, oozy creatures all throughout the deck too, I think would be fun.
Spirit ooze. Little slime deck, but it's not necessarily slime.
Yeah. There's a new card, I don't know if you're familiar, called Slime Against Humanity, and it's one of those cards that's like a deck can have any number of cards named Slime Against Humanity, and it's all it's like you make an ooze.
Oh, I know.
Oh, okay.
I printed a bunch of them for one of our friends.
Of course you did. Of course. Yeah, I love it. No, it's a great selection. It's very slimy and oozy and vibey, and I love it. And
thank you.
I think we can...
Just like me.
You would call yourself slimy and oozy and vibey?
No. No, I just wanted to say that.
No, and I understand that feeling. Yeah, I totally get it. Let's slide on over to the next card, though, shall we?
Slime all over?
Let's slime all over the next card.
Which is
the title of the next video, or of this video.
No, it's got to be the next one.
Yeah, of the next one. All right. Here we go. We're gonna talk about
holy shit,
Alms Collector next. It's 3 and a white creature, Cat Cleric, originally from Commander 2017, but the copy we're looking at right now is the cheapest, which is Commander Masters. It has Flash, which means it can be played at instant speed or anytime you could play an instant. And it says, if an opponent would draw 2 or more cards, instead, you and that player each draw a single card, and it's a 3/4. So this is like a nicer version of Opposition Agent or Notion Thief.
Right.
Those cards that they just say straight up, whatever you're going to have, I actually get to have instead.
Yeah.
And I just think this is like a chill version.
Hey, let's take it. Let's hang out. We'll both get some cards. You still get a card.
But we'll keep it even,
like,
you know?
Relax.
Yeah. This is relax ! On a card. I enjoy this line of play so much more, though, than slamming down a Notion Thief and making it super unbalanced in your favor. But you're still doing something cheeky that's going to net you a little bit more value because you're still drawing extra cards, right? You're allowing them to get, some stuff. But now it's not as mean. It's not as, hey, I'm the target now, as dropping down a Notion Thief or Opposition Agent. But you're still netting that value, which I think is super, super cool and important in games. And also, this keeps games going. and prevents like commander fatigue is what I call it, which is essentially just like when people start checking out, getting eepy, you know, getting a little sleepy,
like me,
going on their phones instead of paying attention because the game is getting a bit too long.
I'm always eepy.
Except that's cute. That's cute. So is my partner Marissa. She can sleep till, you know, this is not a sleep podcast. This is a magic
Come
podcast.
on,
we'll
Queen's blood, sleep. Queen's blood and sleep.
Queen's blood and sleep. That could also be an episode title. Anyways.
That's my life right now.
No. But yeah, this just lets you accelerate the game. It's similar to Force Combat in that way. It creates quicker games, draws you into more stuff that allows you to play the game and advance your board state, win faster, all that good stuff. And last thing, instant speed, the flash on this allows for some really awesome reactiveness, and it's a cat. So cat synergies.
Instant speed, yes, please.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. That's a really good title. We've been on one today. We've been
Hey, I'm telling you, I'm a train right now.
The manic.
I'm crashing through the screen.
All right. Well,
tell me, what commander does this card go into?
Well, thank you for prompting me. I appreciate that. I will talk about what this goes into. It's going to be Arabo? Roar of the World. 3 green-white legendary creature cat.
It's probably Arabo.
Yeah?
I would assume.
Yeah, let's go with that. Arabo, Roar of the World. 3 green-white legendary creature cat avatar. Also originally printed, this was unintended of me, also originally printed in Commander 2017 and might have actually maybe even been in this deck, which I think is hilarious in this precon. So Arabo is one of the few commanders that has Eminence, which is an ability that says at the beginning of combat on your turn, if Arabo, Roar of the World is in the command zone or on the battlefield, another target cat you control gets +3/+3 until end of turn. And it says, whenever another cat you control attacks, you may pay 1 green and white. If you do, it gains trample and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power, and it's a 5/5. So this is an amazing card. This is great. Selesnya cats, this is kind of like what you do when you want to build Selesnya cat.
Right. Travel. I built this deck. I have an Arabo deck that I built for my lovely wife.
Yes. And it smacks.
Because she loves cats.
Eminence is so good. It's so good. It's just an ability that triggers from the command zone. You never even have to cast your commander.
It's a busted.
It's so broken.
This is also a very expensive commander.
For sure.
I say very, $17, $18 is not very expensive, but for us, that's like very expensive.
For the brand,
yeah.
Yes. Oh my goodness, yes. But here's the thing: you can stuff your deck full of very, very cheap cat cards.
Yeah,
and you can still build a very cheap deck with this. So,
but here's the thing:
yeah,
if you got $60, you can make Arabo look like a handsome little lad.
That's true, because the secret layer version of this, hopefully Crest, when they're editing this, pops that up on the screen.
It's
really cute.
One of my favorite art.
It's really cute.
Art?
I think they did like a whole secret layer of like cute little cats and dogs like this.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's what this was.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but I love this one.
Maybe eventually I'll be able to, get some of these. But hey, Wizards, if you're listening,
send some secret layers. Jordan needs them.
I do. Just Venmo me $10,000 and send me some discounted secret layers, and we're all good.
And remake Permeating Mass, but make it like a 2-drop, and then make it so you can have as many of them in a deck as you want.
There we go. Let's
good. Not forget
That's good. Yeah. Good little rule of threes right there. I love it.
And if we do it again, then we ruin the rule of threes.
We ruin the rule of threes. We'll have to make it a rule of 5 to make it even or odd. All right. Let's get on with it. So listen, not only can Arabo make this Alms Collector gigantic, but a piece like Alms Collector can help slow down your blue, black, and red decks that you're playing against, helping you keep up as a Selesnya player in terms of card draw and pure value. That's pretty simple tech. It's why I think it might have been included in this precon, if that's true. It makes sense because it's got that cat synergy, but it's also got that value. And yeah, so I'm passing it on to you. What's the flavor pick?
Oh, would you like to know?
I would.
So, a few episodes ago, we talked about Rakdos cats.
Mm-hmm.
And I think That's awesome.
Yes.
So my brain was a ticking, and I went, what if Azorius cats?
Ooh, yeah. Could be cool.
Could be cool. There aren't very many Azorius cats that are legendary creatures.
Sure.
And I will say there are a lot of Abzan cats.
Okay.
Green, white, blue, right?
No, that's Bant.
Sorry, Bant.
Bant
cats.
Yeah.
What's the Capenna?
Green, white, blue is
It's the counters one.
Oh my gosh. Not Obscura.
Nope.
The Brokers?
Is that what they're called?
Oh gosh. I'm trying so hard to remember now. I think it is.
The Bedecked Brokers. You're right.
Okay, yes.
The Brokers.
There we go.
Okay, so there are a lot of cats from New Capenna that are those colors. So, my caveat is not a cat from New Capenna.
Ah, damn. That's okay.
But you do have to include all the cats from New Capenna.
Yes.
Because the deck, the commander pick is Oginen Mercenary.
Ooh, yes. I remember this card when it got spoiled.
Right. It is a 3/3 legendary creature cat mercenary for 1, a white, and a blue. Whenever Oginen Mercenary or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay green. If you do, create a 2/2 green cat warrior creature token with Forest Walk.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's a 3 for 3, and it creates things with Forest Walk.
Yeah.
But here's the jank for this build.
Yeah.
You have to include every cat that is blue.
Okay.
And you're not allowed to include any cat with green unless it also has blue.
Okay, so it has to be either white cats or Simic cats?
No, or
mono blue cats.
Bant cats.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Or Azorius cats.
Right. I think that's cool.
So it'll be more like a companion to the Rakdos cat deck that's janky.
Yeah.
This will be
it's in
this
the same
like
family.
Weird Azorius hybrid deck. Like you can, I'd say you could use some spells that are green for like ramp and stuff.
Right.
But no, or I say sorry, instant sorceries.
Mm-hmm.
But no creatures unless they also have blue.
I forgot about this card honestly until you started talking about it.
This is a great card.
This is great. I love this. Even if you were to just build this straight with like cats only,
whatever cats you want,
I think it's still really good. There's lots of ways you could blink this back and forth in these colors. Like, my goodness. Yeah. So cool.
Warriors too, Warrior Synergy and Cat Synergy.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Hell yeah.
Yep.
I love that pick. You ready to mosey on over to the next card?
Yeah, I'm feeling like a little mosey.
Mosey? Yeah, that's good. Let's check out Bond of Discipline.
Okay.
This is 4 and a white, sorcery from War of the Spark. Real simple. It just says tap all creatures your opponents control. Creatures you control gain lifelink until end of turn.
I feel like whatever white deck you're stirring up right here is really gonna piss some people off.
I don't think so. I think, well, it's actually quite a familiar deck because I've built it on the channel before this. So if you're someone who has watched the channel a lot, if you're one of the day ones, you know, I've talked about this card in shorter videos plenty of times. I love it. It's one of my favorite cards as a budget sort of finisher in a deck.
Yeah, win con for sure.
It's really so good. And even when it's not a win con, it's still netting you so much life in most circumstances. Yeah, this is from a cycle. I didn't know this until just recently, actually. This is from a cycle of cards from War of the Spark, each in one color that focus on blending 2 of the guilds together. So if you'll notice, in the artwork of this card, we have an Orzhov mage and an Azorius mage.
That's so cool.
Yeah, putting their stuff together. I didn't notice this until
I love
way
that
later.
flavor.
Same. I think it's awesome. I really think it's really cheeky and fun, and I love little sort of Easter eggs and hidden things like that. They really the designers really put a lot of care into this, you could tell, and I just love that part about the game and all that. But so this one has to be probably my favorite one from that cycle, and I genuinely have won a good number of games with this card. This is tried and true. People do not see this coming. And I know it's sorcery speed. It's not ideal, but in a budget build, you're looking for tons of ways to maximize your budget. This right here is one of the best finishers you can have if you're doing combat stuff in white, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think you can't really get much better than this for the money.
And it's just one of those sneaky cards too, right? Like it's one of those things that, are people going to counter this?
Let's hope they have the mana.
Are people at the board going to waste their counters on this? Probably.
Yeah.
If it's at the end of the game, But at that point, you're having them waste a counter on maybe something you have that's more powerful next, right? Like,
right. And even so, like in this build, in this commander that I'm about to transition into, it's
nice, smooth.
putting your opponent between a rock and a hard place because the combat step is going to be scary no matter what.
Right.
And that commander is Audric, Lunarch Marshal. Audric is a 3 and a white legendary creature human soldier, originally from Shadows over Innistrad. It says, and I'm gonna see if I can do this in one breath. At the beginning of combat, oh shit, nope, ready? At the beginning of each combat, creatures you control gain first strike until end of turn if a creature you control has first strike. The same is true for flying, death touch, double strike, haste, hexproof, indestructible, lifelink, menace, reach, skulk, trample, and vigilance, and it's a 3/3. There we go.
There we go. I got Eepy. It happened. I'm Eepy now. I'm looking at my phone.
It's okay. We have I just cast Alms Collector, so hopefully now you're back in the game.
Okay, I'm probably gonna counter.
We get to no. But listen, Audric is just I made a budget deck tech a long time ago, sort of postulating that this is one of the better commanders that you can run if you're sort of new to the game and you just want to immediately be sort of viable in a game. I think this does such a great job of slam some good creatures in there and you're just good to go. You're just good to go.
It's also really cheap.
Yes.
For as good as this card is.
Yeah.
It's absurdly there are like multiple printings of this that are all like under
all under 50 cents, I think, except for one.
Except for the Command Legends one.
Yeah, it's literally so good. You can build this so easily on a budget, and it just always is good. There's always going to be awesome white creatures that are printed. You can just, no matter what age you are when you start at Magic, Audric's going to be a great commander for you. And I just picked this because it's just good. It's an aggro deck, so you want spells that are going to help us close out the game through combat, right? And Bond of Discipline keeps us under that budget realm while also giving all of our creatures lifelink if we don't have a creature on the field that has lifelink yet. And we're not in green, right? So we don't have things like Overrun, Overwhelming Stampede, all those like big anthem-y spells that give us trample to help close out a game. So Bond of Discipline sort of serves that purpose for us. And yeah, it's pretty much it. One thing I do want to point out too is that Audric triggers at the beginning of each combat.
Yeah.
Not just your own.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
It's really, really good. It's really, really good. So what about you, Cress?
Yeah, so as you so lovingly
yes
pointed out, that this is Orzhov and Azorius.
Yeah.
Right? Which, if we broke down both into colors, you've got black, white, and blue.
Uh-huh.
So I was looking for an Esper commander.
Hey, there it is.
And the one I'm highlighting for this, and I just want to build it. That's it. That's the only.
It's really good.
It's the only decision. Is I want to build an Alinda and Azor. Deck. Which is a 6/6 legendary creature, Vampire Knight Sphinx for 3 white, blue, black. It's got flying and ward 2. Yeah. Whenever Alinda and Azor attacks, you may pay X, a white, a blue, and a black. If you do, draw X cards. At the beginning of each end step, you may pay 4 life. If you do, create a number of 1/1 black Vampire Knight creature tokens with lifelink equal to the number of cards you've drawn this turn.
Absolutely disgusting.
This is a wild card.
So good.
And if you've popped it off at least, the once, and you've gotten, a bunch of amps on the board, even if people are playing flying, having utility of tapping everybody down, useful.
Yeah, I think a lot of the those commander team ups, like that, for March of the Machine got sort of pushed under the rug. I don't really remember a good lot of them. Well, I don't see them played a lot.
This is so expensive. This is such an expensive card. When you're talking about like bottoms up commanders,
bottom up commanders,
that's what you would do, right? Like if you play this card and it stays on the battlefield, I'd be impressed. Well, that Ward 2 ability, like it's got all that stuff, and it has Ward 2, which is just unbelievable. Yeah. But it's also, its ability, if you want it to be really good, is also really, really expensive. So like, what are you doing? Are you Voltroning this? Probably not. just way too many better Voltrons, right? Like, so
I would argue it's that last ability that people are focusing on,
Yeah, 100%. And I think that that's the best way to go. So I was thinking Esper life gain is sort of like the vibe.
Yeah, with like card draw and stuff like that. Just make it a really
with some card draw.
Sort of Esper good stuff, maybe. Just sort of like
yeah.
But
not necessarily not necessarily like control the opposite.
Right.
Sort of steering it the opposite direction. Almost Esper aggro.
Esper aggro could be fun. Esper group hug could be fun, maybe. Like you're drawing a bunch of cards, but you're also having everyone else draw a bunch of cards.
Yeah, I don't know. If you have an Alinda and Azor deck in the comments, please let me know, or in the Discord, hit me up, because there's so many directions you could take this, but I think it needs to be made.
Agreed. I would love to see you play this. Maybe at a patron game night or something.
Yeah, this feels my vibe.
Could be fun.
I saw this card and went, yep, that's Esper.
That's it. That's the one for me.
Yep.
I love it. Great choice. Let's
Thank you for that.
Let's ride on out to the next one, and you'll understand why I'm talking like this.
Oh, we talking in this accent?
Sure. You want to do it for the whole thing?
No, I don't.
No,
I do not.
We're gonna stop right now. Actually, let me read the card in this accent.
No. Okay.
So the next card we're talking about is a Caustic Bronco. That's 1 in a black creature snake horse mount from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Whenever Caustic Bronco attacks, reveal the top card of your library and put it into your hand. You lose life equal to that card's mana value if Caustic Bronco isn't saddled. Otherwise, each opponent loses that much life, and you have a saddle cost of 3. So that means...
let's explain saddle.
Yeah.
Because, look, I haven't looked at much of Thunder Junction. I'm still like, Fallout cards came out.
Sure. Yeah. I'll explain it. I'm done with the accent for now, and I'll explain saddling a little bit. Saddling is essentially very similar to vehicles.
Riding a horse.
You're right. See, now that it's out, it's gonna come in whenever. I can't really control it. Tap any number of other creatures you control with total power. In this case, 3 or more, because the saddle cost is 3.
Right.
This mount becomes saddled until end of turn. Saddle only as a sorcery. So it's essentially just crewing for vehicles, but this is saddling for creatures. Crewing, vehicles, saddle, creatures, right? It's different from crewing vehicles in that you can only saddle things at sorcery speed, right? But there are some dope effects like this one that you get when you saddle stuff, right? On its own.
And it's also a creature that works before,
right?
Unlike crewing a vehicle, which doesn't work without some. Like, you can still.
It's an artifact when it's not a creature, but yeah, I think this does a bit more work.
100%.
Personally, I think it's a bit cooler. I like it better.
I think it's really cool. I'm excited to see more saddle.
Yeah, I like the idea of having a mount. Like, you can have like a proper mount instead of driving a vehicle. It's like
this set feels like fan fiction.
Yeah, 100%. I fully agree with that, honestly.
Or like a wild D&D campaign.
Yes. A D&D campaign based in this world would be really fun. Or like a fantasy, like cowboy western.
Honestly,
thing.
If it's in this world and you get all the like magic cameos from like traveling through all these planeswalker cameos, I think that would be a really fun D&D.
Well, listen, Dimension 20, if you're listening.
Hey, if you're listening.
Brendan Lee Mulligan, if you're listening. Please cast us in the Outlaws of Thunder Junction Dimension 20 crossover campaign. Anyways.
Extravaganza.
Also, Brendan, if you're listening, I think you're literally incredible. All right, here we go.
Really cool.
Yeah,
actually.
really cool. Yeah. On its own, here, listen, we're going to talk about Caustic Bronco. On its own, it nets you value, right? Off the top. It's going to be draining your life if you do that. However, if it's saddled, you get the value and a bunch of like group sluggy life drain to all of your opponents. And listen, I'm just thinking you saddle this thing, load up the deck with a ton of chonky boys, and then just drain the table. Imagining like revealing something like Yargle and Multani off the top, which is another like one of those like commander team up cards, and draining everyone of 18 life in one instance is nuts. Mwah. And that's pretty much all she wrote. I mean, I just think this ability is so good, and it's a budget card. It's under $1, easily under $1. I'm gonna keep this moment in here because transparency is important. When I chose this card, it was under $1.
And now?
Say it. Crest, say it. I can't even say it.
It's $1.03.
I want you to know that I'm this close to retiring after this moment.
Embarrassed.
It's really embarrassing.
Even. Yeah.
Well, listener, and listen, we have a huge audience today. Wizards of the Coast is here. Brennan Lee Mulligan is here.
How would you think Brennan Lee Mulligan would voice Caustic Bronco? Because you know he'd like be like, this is a talking snake horse.
Yeah, maybe he like a
hi, hello, that kind of thing. Really
okay.
High and whispery, and maybe they have a little rid of rasp or something like
okay.
that.
You know?
Consider this Jordan's audition, Brennan.
Yeah. I am also vocally flexible, if you couldn't tell by my accents.
I couldn't tell.
Nope. And I've never been able to tell anything because I'm from the country. I ain't got no education. Anyways.
Whoa.
This was under $1 when I picked it. It is not anymore, but I still think it is such a great card. And at only 3 cents above $1, you could still slot this into a lot of awesome budget decks.
Who? Like who?
Like who? Well, I'm so glad you asked.
Which character from Magic's plethora of...
Well, let's take a trip to Kamigawa, futuristic Kamigawa.
Neon Dynasty?
The Neon Dynasty Kamigawa set to look at Ishin, 2 heavens as 1. Red, white, black legendary creature, human samurai. If a creature attacking causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time, and it's a 3/4. So this is, again, very simple tech here. You just double the attack triggers. You get double the value. And if it's saddled, you get double the life drain. I just think...
Wow, that's...
very good.
That's mean.
Yep. But it's good. It's really good.
That's gross.
Unfortunately, you can't run Yargle and Multani in this specific build, but you can find a ton of other chunky boys to stuff the deck.
Yeah,
with.
there's a lot of cards in white that have pretty high mana values.
Run this in Ishin if it's not already, and yeah, that's my pick. What about you, baby?
Yeah, so I thought I'd take it back to Thunder Junction for a little flavor pick.
Yes.
And so I was looking up some legendary creatures in black from Thunder Junction. You could, because it's a snake. You could use Vraska the Silencer.
Sure.
But Vraska, because of the whole Phyrexian thing, is dips her toes into the artifact play, and that doesn't really feel the vibe.
Yeah.
So I was like, it'd be really fun. I was looking through some of the mono black picks, which are hilarious, by the way. There are some really, really funny
commanders that are mono.
Like Tiny Bones.
Oh, Tiny Bones
is very funny.
Yeah.
But that's not the pick. The pick is Vadmir New Blood.
Ooh, nice.
2/2 legendary creature, vampire rogue for 1 and a black. Whenever you commit a crime, put a +1/+1 counter on Vadmir New Blood.
Yeah.
This ability triggers only once each turn, targeting opponents, anything they control, and or cards in their graveyards is a crime.
That's right.
As long as Vadmir has 4 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has Menace and Lifelink.
Pretty good.
So, it doesn't necessarily synergize, but I like the idea of I picked it because of the lifelink.
Yeah.
I like the idea of a lifelink, sort of life drain.
Yeah.
Give some, take some, or I guess take some, drain some.
Yeah.
Mono black, but keeping it in Thunder Junction, I think would be fun.
Yeah, I really like this pick too, because I feel like if Vadmir, it's very easy to commit crimes. It's targeting opponents, anything they control and or cards in their graveyards is a crime. That's easy to do.
That's basically all we do.
Yeah, and mono black specifically has a lot of single target removal, things that just go after a certain thing. So you're gonna get Vadmir up pretty fast, and that'll give him the ability to saddle Caustic Bronco. All you got to do is buff him once, and it's there.
It's commander for 2, man, is pretty.
It's nice.
Good.
It's nice to be able to get your commander out, even on turn 1. If you got a Dark Ritual,
start committing some crimes.
If you got a Dark Ritual, that's just Swamp, Dark Ritual, Vadmir, turn 1.
And then some.
Yeah, and then some, and then 1 extra mana. What's a 1-drop? Oh, what's the Cauldron Familiar, the little black cat from Throne of Eldraine?
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
Vadmir with a little black cat and a snake horse.
Are there any of these mounts that are partners?
I don't think so.
Wizards, please. I'm begging you. Brennan, talk to Wizards of the Coast.
He's good with words, so you know maybe he can convince him that Brendan Lee Mulligan. All right, that's that. I mean, listen, I like that pick a lot. But
thank you.
I'm just I can't move on to the other fun stuff we got until you tell me.
Are you feeling the mania?
I am very much feeling the mania in this episode.
I'm on a train. Choo choo.
You are on a train. Choo choo. Is that train taking us to the chaos pick of the day?
Oh, probably.
Yeah. Let's check it out.
Yay! We're here!
Yay! Cress's chaos pick of the day.
Yeah, so my pick is if you heard me earlier, I was like, hey, Fallout cards.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about me, you'd know I'm a gamer.
That's big true. Big true. You are very much a gamer.
I love Fallout, and even though I love Fallout, I'm only on episode 2 of the new show. It is very good. It is very, 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 very good.
I've heard.
But Bella and I are sort of taking episode at a time. Like, kind of going back to just like casually watching shows.
That's cool.
Instead of
binging it.
Binging. And I say that, and then I watched like 20 episodes of One Piece the other day, but you know, it's not the same.
Yeah, you're doing it differently in different spaces. It's fine.
You got to get through One Piece.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it's a Fallout card. Spoilers. My pick of the day is Nick Valentine, Private Eye.
Ooh.
A 2/2 legendary artifact creature, Sith detective for 2 and a blue. Nick Valentine, Private Eye can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. Whenever Nick Valentine or another artifact creature you control dies, you may investigate.
Whoa,
so,
yeah.
I don't play artifacts very often. I'm not really into artifact play.
Same, not really.
It's one of the. It's a little like goblins. I said in a couple episodes, like a little triggering for me. I played against people who just like, I mean, because it's colorless, you can just like you got ramp that gives you your ramp it gets buffed and things like that. So it's just like artifacts I tend to be like, nah. But mono blue artifacts, which is normal, but with a hyper focus on like investigate or clues, especially with some of the Murders of Karlov Manor cards as well.
For sure.
So sort of like combining those two concepts here.
100%.
Between those two sets, keeping it mono blue, but also some artifact twisties, I think I'm going to build a Nick Valentine deck. And I will say, I picked this card because I like the character Nick Valentine.
Right.
From Fallout 4.
Right.
And I'm not really going to talk about him because go play the video game.
Fine, I will. I'm interested.
But he's got one of the best arcs
in the game
of any robot character.
That's high praise. We got Wally to compete with or whatever. That's the only other robot I could think of.
Does Wally have an arc?
He's like nice at the beginning and then nicer at the end.
Has friends, opens up.
Yeah. I don't really remember much about it, honestly.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
It's the only other robot I could remember in the moment. Nick Valentine.
Tell me about how much you like my pick.
I do like it. I honestly have been struggling to find after I took apart my Orvar deck, I just was like trying to think of like a mono blue commander that really sort of intrigues me. And this is innocuous enough to where you could build it many ways and have it not really be something that gets taken out pretty easily.
100%.
My immediate thought was like Voltron with this kind of thing because he can't be blocked except by artifact creatures, which is pretty cool. Mono blue Voltron is just not something you see very often, which immediately I'm very drawn to that. So
right, that could be cool.
Yeah, I think it's great, and I love the art. I know nothing about the Fallout stuff, so like this is just really striking to me, and it appeals to me in that way. And this full art that I'm looking at, it looks very nice as well.
Highly, highly recommend. I'm one of the few people whose favorite Fallout game was Fallout 4. Highly, highly recommend doing all of Nick Valentine's plotline. And then the show is, I've only on episode 2 and I love it, and I heard it only gets better and better. Yeah,
that's what people at work have been saying too. So
yeah,
that makes it a very excellent Cress's Chaos pick of the day, and I'm happy with it. But we got some other stuff to do while we're still here on the show.
Wait, are you serious?
Yes, we have the
what?
We have the poll to talk about.
Oh, right. We do that every episode.
We do that every episode. So we poll our Discord members whenever it's time for an episode. We just ask them a nice little MTG prompt, and they answer. And we compile the stats and do a nice little pie chart that Cress creates for us.
Beep, boop, beep, boop.
That's them making the.
Beep, 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 boop.
Wait, I thought you were on a train. Are you a robot on the train?
I'll never tell.
That's pretty Fallout to me, and I know nothing about the game. There's probably
Fallout's
a robot.
basically Outlaws of Thunder Junction, but
okay.
in the wasteland.
Robots on the train is Fallout, same thing. But basically, yeah, and they compile us a nice little
Boop, beep, boop.
nice little pie chart, and we talk about it on the show.
Do the poll. Do the poll. Do the poll.
So our poll question this week was, what commander are you most tired of seeing? And now I gave 4 specific selections, but I also included an option for other. So just anything else other than the things listed.
Because there are like 1,000 choices.
Yeah, just a trillion choices now. But the choices were Yuriko, Atraxa, Dragon, Send Triplets, and then other. I'm not going to go into the details of all these commanders. These are just a couple of very popular commanders that people see often. I've heard of them often being played.
Right, if you're watching the YouTube video, I'll throw them up on the screen.
Cool.
You can pause
we can do a little
at your leisure.
Do a little
We'll
grid.
be mentioning a bunch more that weren't on this list because the other option won by an overwhelmingly amount.
Yes, so the interesting thing here was, and I had a feeling this might happen. I was like, maybe I didn't choose maybe the right commanders, or because I don't play at an LGS, and that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, is like frustrations with a meta, and I play in a very personalized meta, so I don't really encounter a lot of this.
Yeah, 100%. You and me both.
I don't really play a lot of these. So Yuriko, Atraxa, Dragon, Send Triplets. I'd say the 3 of those, besides Send Triplets, are really popular. Like on EDH Rec, they're almost consistently in the top 10 commanders by popularity, like constantly. No matter what fluctuations, what sets come out, they're just always there.
Yeah, I think they've got a pretty self-explanatory type of build.
Yeah, exactly. High value, high power, Send Triplets is very mean and control-y, and I don't like it.
I hate it.
And that's what I voted for.
I hate that card.
I don't like seeing it. Our friend Blaze runs it, and I hate it every time. Hate seeing it.
Full disclosure, Jordan, when Jordan messaged me about this poll, Send Triplets was not on the list.
Correct.
And I went, if you add Send Triplets to this list,
that's when I'll greenlight it.
Then I'll greenlight this poll.
Yeah, just so you could hate on it.
Yeah, because I hate that card.
Yeah, it sucks. But here's the thing. The thing that was outvoted was other, and I just want to go over like what some of the people said. One of the most popular options was Edgar Markov. So
interesting.
Another, just like Arabo and just like Dragon, another commander with eminence. Basically, Edgar's eminence ability is you just make a 1/1 vampire on your turn for free.
Oh, so it's like a recurring engine, basically.
Yes, it's turn one. Turn 1, you're getting a vampire. Like, you haven't played any lands yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just having like a free soul ring on the field. It's just value right out the gate. And
yeah,
so
but it's not just value. It's value that can deal damage before everybody else. It's
exactly.
Like haste value.
And in those colors in Mardu, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, stacking creatures...
It's whenever you cast another vampire spell, which, again, very easy to do turn 1. Yeah, but still. It's still so good. Yeah. Whenever Edgar Markov attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. So stupid. And especially with all the new support from Crimson Vow and from Caverns of Ixalan, you've got a ton of new vampires. And, yeah. So I get it.
Yeah, I guess vampires have always been limited by either picking white and black or black and red, and so having the Mardu version of it just kind of creates an unlimited...
Yeah. And I think also the other choices point to, a lot of people said Dragon as well. It's that eminence that people just really don't like. They don't like that free sort of value. And then the other most popular choice was a lot of like very meta specific things. So the new Obeka, I've heard people complain about. Even outside the poll, the new Obeka that gets you like...
I read that.
Multiple upkeeps.
As like, many as you hit as damage
the power,
for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane. And then the Mothman from the Fallout sets, people were mentioning that off of our poll.
That makes sense.
And it seems to be very specific to...
Do I want to make a 3-dog deck?
A 3-dog deck sounds really cool. I saw that card the other day and I was like, ooh, that's pretty spicy. But yeah, it seems to me that whenever something is very, very popular at an LGS, especially in an LGS environment, and it's readily available because it's from a new set, a lot of players just get fatigued off of that. They're just like, I'm tired of it.
Interesting.
You know?
Why wouldn't you want... I mean, part of the show is experiencing so many different variants and like spreading the love of all the different kinds of builds you can make. I'm not saying, not to build the fun, easy deck, because a lot of what I was seeing in the Discord, it's people who play the same deck every time you go in, or seeing the same deck every time you go in, right?
Yeah, and it's just exhausting. But sometimes, listen, not for Edgar Markov players, unless you're proxying it, Edgar Markov is over $100 card just by itself. So it's not a budget restriction for those players, probably. But, for some people, listen, they might just be able to afford one deck and they go to play it and they just play it all the time. And
feel good about it.
Totally
it's
valid.
Like a deck they feel good about. 100%.
But if you're seeing multiple players play it all the time, and if you're trying to get 3-4 games in a night, and 3 out of the 4 games you're playing against a Mothman or you're playing against an Edgar Markov, I can totally understand why you'd be so fatigued.
There's an interesting class element here too, that if you're seeing Edgar Markov all the time, if people aren't proxying it, right?
Yeah.
You're playing against a lot of people who spend $100 on a card.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, I'm not in that. And I feel like I would feel I'm not in that.
Same. Yep. Not in that realm.
Yeah. So that would feel disheartening for sure.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, there's not much else to say. It's pretty cut and dry.
I will say, when you're feeling disheartened about that, remember that you are the player with the fun, creative deck going in.
100%.
You can affect any game, even if you're not winning the game. And you might go into a game knowing you're not gonna win.
Right.
Doesn't mean you shouldn't try, and it doesn't mean you can't have fun with the deck that you have that does its thing. It's why I goddamn hate send triplets.
Same.
Because it means somebody else gets to do my fun thing instead of me.
Yeah, and that's not fun ever. Unless you're the send triplets player, I guess, and you love watching
everybody
people be in pain.
Upset the whole time.
Yeah.
Talking about being the arch enemy.
That's beautifully said, though, Cress. I honestly, I agree. I think it's really important to have a health. You should be taking care of yourself regardless, outside of the game
100%.
of Magic. But having a healthy mindset going into these scenarios can maybe help that fatigue a little bit. And creating your own sense of fun out of, okay, I've seen this Edgar Markov deck 17 times. Let me try to devise a way, make it fun for yourself by trying to devise a way to get around it,
Right. Or you don't even necessarily need to counter it, right? I feel like the easy go-to is to play your counter deck, right? Like that's what I experience whenever I'm bring up my mill deck. Everyone will be like, oh, I'm going to play this deck then that doesn't get milled. And I'm like, well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then now you're doing the thing, right?
Your spite choosing the deck.
Right. Instead of just playing at the table. And not that there's anything wrong with that. I'll still play along. It doesn't mean everybody's got that counter deck. But I would say that can be expensive, right? If you're playing up the meta as well, right? Playing the counter to that can also be, expensive. So really committing to just I don't know, janky plays, janky concepts in a game can really help with.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying go into every game thinking you're going to lose. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
But I am saying that if you're tired of losing to a specific deck, it's okay to accept that they're in a different playing field. And then, like you said, Jordan, creating your own fun can happen not by winning.
Exactly. It's not victory based. It's not merit based. This is a game after all.
There is a pay to win aspect to this game that is very real.
For sure.
It's just the product of being a game where there's a secondary market.
Exactly. So let's move on to our patron question of the day. Thank you to everyone who participated in our poll. We really love you guys. Appreciate you guys. But every time we do an episode here, we have a tier of our Patreon wherein people can submit questions for us to answer on the podcast. And so at this tier, our patron Garen submitted this question to us. Thank you, Garen, by the way. Thank you for the support.
Thank you, Garen.
We appreciate it. They asked Mishra or Urza, and they said you can base that on whatever you want: lore, style, color, mechanics. Bonus question: Ashnod or Tawnos? So I'm going to keep it real simple. I'm going to go just purely based off of the cards themselves. And the Brothers War gave us a lot more to choose from as well.
True.
Me personally, I'm going Mishra and Tawnos because mechanically, I just think those commanders are more interesting to me.
Which specific commanders?
Like I liked the Mishra, where Mishra claimed by Gix. I've been really into like Rakdos aggro stuff recently, and whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life and you gain X life, where X is the number of attacking creatures. Just love that. Spam the board with tokens, swinging out, just dealing a bunch of damage. I just really am a fan of that. And the melding and stuff is cool, but it's not really my goal. I just think I like the way the Mishras play a bit better. And then for Tawnos, I like the commander, Tawnos the Toy Maker,
right?
Which is whenever you cast a beast or bird creature spell, you may copy it, except the copy is an artifact in addition to its other types. And I just love a little beast and bird kindred deck, I think that's cool. And I mean, that's really it. I think aesthetically, these cards appeal to me more in their artwork than Ashnod or Urza. And that's sort of the way that I gauged it for myself. What about you?
Yeah, okay. I took the opposite route. I went sort of more the lore direction, but not like explicitly.
Yeah.
Look, it's hard to like Urza. But I think I dislike Mishra more.
Right.
I really don't mess with the like eugenicsy, Phyrexian play with the dead to make new stuff. Like that's gross.
Sure.
Is it worse than what Urza does?
We're walking a very weird moral tightrope here.
Right.
Yeah.
But so I'm picking Urza by default because I think Mishra makes me upset more.
That makes sense.
Viscerally, not on paper.
Yeah.
On paper, They both make me upset.
Yeah.
And I'm just upset.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
I that fully checks out to me.
As far as Ashnod and Tawnos, I like Tawnos.
Yeah.
Tawnos goes crazy because he's the only survivor of the war, and then he's just like making and artifact birds.
Him and Ashnod,
because he thought birds were cool.
That's true. And he's a toy maker, which I love. I just love that. It's so cute.
And Ashnod, is also an apprentice, but Ashnod also does the like playing with dead bodies thing that I'm just like,
But she helps found a school with him. Like they're a little item, right?
Oh, really?
That's what I read in the lore, yeah.
Oh, that's cool. With Mishra?
No, Ashnod and Tawnos.
Oh,
they're like
really?
an item, I think. Yes.
I don't know much about the Brothers' War. I have not like dived into
same. That when I just looked up the
lore.
little wiki article when we were reading before, like doing the research for this episode,
it said that Ashnod was romantically interested with Mishra as well as being his apprentice for a little bit.
With Tawnos.
She developed a romantic partner with rumored lover to Mishra. Romantic partnership with Tawnos.
Gotcha. Okay.
Despite supporting the opposing side of the war.
Interesting.
So this is after,
I guess,
after the war they did that. I really like the Tawnos Solemn Survivor.
Ooh, yeah.
Where he's
crazy.
Just the artwork there is so cool. But he
definitely
forces you to mill. Super fun. Bleak but fun.
Yeah, bleak but fun. Which, hey, that's been the vibe of this episode. Just, I mean,
bleak?
Oh, maybe not, but fun. That
Brennan
counts,
Lee
right?
Mulligan, would you describe this episode as bleak or fun?
Yeah, maybe bleak was. It felt like a good transition moment.
Oh, okay.
Bleak was definitely not the way I should have said it, but hey, listen, I'm trying my best out here. And that's all we can hope for, and we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We made it through. We did it.
We got some plugs.
We got some plugs. We got some plugs to do, and then we're out of here. And then...
You can't leave before the plugs.
I'm not going to leave before the plugs.
I won't let you.
Hey, listen, guys, if you want to support all the fun stuff we do here at the Jank Center, and yes, this is the start of the plug, including the podcast, the short form videos, the Discord, and our monthly giveaways, please make sure to check out our Patreon. We've got 4 awesome tiers: a $1 tier that gets you an extra entry in the giveaways every month, a $3 tier where you get the extra entry, plus the ability to ask us questions that we answer live on the pod. At the $10 tier, you get access to everything, plus access to our monthly patron game nights. Joining at this tier means you get added to the exclusive Discord channel where you get to jam games at least once a month with Cress and I, as well as the other patrons. Then for our big spenders or people who really want to support what we're doing here, we have the $25 tier. Supporting at this tier means you get everything from the other tiers, plus shout outs at the beginning of every video and podcast, and the opportunity, if comfortable, to be a guest on our 5 cards or die series.
Jealous.
And listen, yeah, me too, honestly. Maybe one day we'll do our own 5 cards or die. If you don't have the funds in the future. If you don't have the funds to support through Patreon though, never fear, because you can join the Discord and be a part of that community completely for free. It's a public Discord, so we got a bunch of people in there that love budget, janky, and underutilized cards just like you. We talk about sets, spoilers, cards, budget brews, anything and everything under the MTG sun. Really, it's an amazing community. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things about being a content creator has been the proliferation and development of the community in Discord. I think it's been really awesome. Yeah, we also do monthly giveaways, so hop in there if you want to do that too. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube, follow the Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at EDH Jank Center, and make sure to leave a 5-star review of this podcast wherever you're listening, because it really, really helps us a ton with the algorithm helping us be found by prospective listeners. And that's sort of...
And robots.
And robots. Robots on a train there.
Robots that meet the eye.
Robots that meet the eye. All right, Chris, you won't take us out? You gonna take us out?
I'm not going to do it in an accent.
Any closing statements?
Go play Queen's Blood.
Go play
Queen's Blood.
Go play Queen's Blood. Wizards, please Venmo me $10,000. Make Permeating Mass available to be used multiple copies in the 99.
And Brendan, did you think this episode was bleak?
And Brendan, do you think this episode is bleak? Cool. And with that, we're going to ride out. I'm going to say the catchphrase in an accent this time. So,
okay.
Remember, kiddos, spirit of the format is the gathering. All right.
And if I could shoot like
picture little guns.
My little pistols.
Yeah, little revolvers. Yeah, revolvers going off in the background while
Is
I say
this the
that.
cowboy hat episode?
Ooh, that's a good one. There's a lot of good episode titles in this, though. We'll have to see. All right, let's get out of here before we get distracted.
Okay, I'm signing off. Bye.